PNC Park in Pittsburgh. The Cubs wrap up the first half of the season right here on WGN Sports, and they try to get out of here with a win and end a 5-game losing streak. Great to have you with us on this Sunday afternoon. Jim Deshaies and Len Kasper. The Cubs with a 6.5 game lead. They have not played well here as of late, and today they'll hand the ball to John Lackey.
John Lackey has been a little rocky of late. Struggled last time out against Cincinnati. We check his numbers, career against the Pirates. This is his first start against them this year. 5 starts, 1-2 with an ERA of 3. Pitched a very solid ball game against Pittsburgh in this ballpark about a year ago.
Left-hander John Neese has had his struggles against the Cubs this season. He'll pitch for the Pirates.
Yeah, 2 starts, 0-2 with an 8.71 ERA, career ERA against the Cubs, up over 5, the 5th highest among active pitchers.
Believe it or not, Cubs go into this game tied for the biggest lead in a division in baseball at 6.5, but the Pirates are surging as of late. They've won 9 of 10. Cubs, Bucks, next. Cubs baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Not backing down since 1876. This Bud's for you. Honda. Start something special with a great deal on a Honda. Now at your Honda dealer. State Farm. There for you when things go wrong, but also here to help life go right. Talk to an agent today at 800 State Farm. Mattress Firm, where we want you to sleep happy guaranteed. Remember, if it's over 8, it's time to replace. Your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer. And by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Chicago Cubs baseball in high definition on WGN is brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. Another huge crowd here in Pittsburgh to wrap up the first half.
I'll tap him on the shoulder. Get ready.
Partly cloudy skies. Beautiful day. Let's get the umpires. David Rackley will work the plate. And a young Pirate fan trying to umpire maybe as well. Chris Guccione at first, Alfonso Marquez at second, and the crew chief Larry Vanover at third. The Pirates have these throwback Sunday uniforms modeled after the 1979 look as John Lackey gets ready for his start. And they got the yellow pullovers, the Sansa Belt black pants.
The Jiffy Pop hats.
Yeah. Well, last night the Cubs wasted one of the better performances you'll ever see. We had the Kris Bryant 3-homer 2-double game in Cincinnati. Anthony Rizzo had a triple-double, single-double, and twice was maybe a foot or two away from a home run. He almost hit for the cycle last night, and you see what he's done in this ballpark.
Yeah, 320 lifetime hitter in this ballpark with that 1,023 OPS, trailing just Albert Pujols. Yeah, so Riz done a lot of damage here over the years.
He and a large contingent of Cubs will head to San Diego after this one for the All-Star Game festivities. Rizzo and Bryant, who participated in the Home Run Derby last year, will not participate this season. He's going to try to take it a little bit easy and get ready to be in the starting lineup for the National League on Tuesday evening. Left-hander John Neese will take the ball, and he will face the following Cubs Southwest starting lineup. 3 All-Stars at the top: Zobrist, Bryant, and Rizzo. The rookie Wilson Contreras in the cleanup spot. Addison Russell will be in the National League lineup. He's the shortstop. Jason Hayward's been great since he's moved down to the 6th spot. Javier Baez at third. Albert Almora Jr., the rookie center fielder, and the pitcher John Lackey batting 9th.
Let's check and see where Clint Hurdle has positioned his guys here today. Marte, McCutchen, and Adam Frazier in the outfield. Polanco's a little banged up, so the youngster Frazier gets a start. Freese, Mercer on the left side of the infield. Sean Rodriguez plays all over the diamond. He's at second today. John Jaso is the first baseman. Eric Fryer behind the plate. And this will be the first time this year that this tandem has worked together. Fryer and the veteran left-hander Jonathan Neese. He's making his 18th start. He's got a winning record of 7-6, but a high ERA, 4.87. League bats .294 against him. Home run ball has been an issue. He's allowed 19 of those. He's primarily a pitch-to-contact ground ball type pitcher. He does get a lot of outs on the ground, but when it's been airborne this year, it has a tendency to fly out of the ballpark.
And a few fans still heading across the Clemente Bridge and into the ballpark. Sellout last night, and we may be close to that again today. Yeah, the Pirates for about a 10-year period wore the pillbox hats, and they're kind of hearkening back to that here today, although it's not quite as flat on the top of the cap, a little more rounded.
A train engineer kind of look. Yeah, that's a little different look, maybe a little lower profile. Jackie Onassis used to wear that hat.
And we're underway as Ben Zobrist takes strike one.
See, in 1979, players weren't wearing their pants that long either, so this kind of looks like a softball uniform.
Inside, 1-1. Ben hit a 2-run homer in the first inning last night. The Cubs as a team have the highest on-base percentage leading off an inning in baseball at .359. The Pirates are second at .352. So they've made pitchers work out of the stretch a fair amount. And that'll happen again here as Zobrist finds left center. Big turn around first, and he'll hold there with a leadoff single. Right on cue.
Zobrist and Fowler so good at the top of the order.
Now Kris Bryant. Cubs with a 6.5 game lead over the Pirates. The Cardinals are 7 back, and they're in Milwaukee today. Mike Leake and Junior Guerra, the pitching matchup there.
Well, I'm a big believer in there's no such thing as a must win in the baseball season, especially in July, but this would be a good day to pick up a W, wouldn't it? To just push back a little bit against these Pirates.
And these are 2-game swing days when you're playing a team like the Pirates. So you go into the break up either 5.5 or 7.5 on them. Bryant pops it up, foul territory. And Jaso makes the catch. That's the first out. We are having pitch tracks technical difficulties, and we are working to correct them
frantically. Not much of a breeze here today.
So it's 77 as we got started, which is probably the temperature in the shade. Humidity not a factor. This is perfect baseball weather. Here's Rizzo with the man on 1 out. And he drives into right. Zobrist is going to stop at second. Anthony Rizzo continues his hot streak. He came in at 290. He started June at 236.
Outside part of the plate, but very reachable for Anthony, and he yanks it into right with authority. Birds fly, fish swim, Rizzo hits. Does what he does.
Cubs had a bad night last night in terms of the pitching, but they scored 6 runs on 14 hits, and it felt like they could have played it a lot more. You never like to waste an offensive night like the one Rizzo had last night. Here's Contreras.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know, when you analyze a baseball team or evaluate how they're performing, you have to look at a lot of different things. You can't just talk about the team at large. You got to be thinking, well, the pitching, it was bad, but offensively they had a very nice night.
Center field, and McCutchen can't make the play. He misjudged it. Bases loaded. Looked like he either froze or was going to come in, then realized it was going to be over his head. He got a glove on it, but he could not pull it down.
That ball really scalded by Contreras. Might have been knuckling a little bit too, adding to the issues for McCutchen out there in center field. That's a ball you often see a center fielder get a little bit of a bad read on. Line drive right over the head, a little hesitation, then recognizing that he has to retreat, he goes into scramble mode.
Giving Contreras a hit. That's 3 singles. And it's Addison Russell, ball 1. By the way, Contreras fouled a ball off his foot last night and still bothering him. I think right off the big toe in one of the later at bats. Changeup is low and outside. 2-0 the count. Your Lexus Run Predictor is brought to you by your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer. Bases loaded, 1 out has been a very good spot for the Cubs offense so far this season.
He's 89 miles an hour with the fastball. He's below average in terms of velocity. Typically 88 to 91. Throws a cutter, changeup, and a curveball. 2-seam fastball and the changeup, good ground ball pitches for him.
Cubs last night went 3 for 17 with runners in scoring position. One for 1 today on that Contreras hit. Two. It's full.
What do you think? Things are going bad for the Cubs lately. Little bases loaded, hit and run. Go a little Don Zimmer here. Get crazy.
Off the glove of Freese. That'll work. 2 runs will score. Maybe their luck is changing. A deflection off the glove of McCutchen, this time off the glove of Freese on a hard hit ball. It's 2-zip.
Yeah, in both instances the ball is really well struck. So Nice today, like cool last night, not really fooling anybody. Cubs jumping all over him here this afternoon. That was a bullet.
Guessing that'll be a 2-run single because of how hard it was hit.
Oh, absolutely.
Contreras on the play made third. And Ray Searage, who made multiple trips to the mound last night, a very early visit today. Here's Hayward.
You know, Contreras probably doesn't want to stop running. I think that's where his toe bothers him the most, when he has to slam on the brakes. So it's up to him. He's just going to keep going.
Hayward takes a strike. 6 games in the 6th spot, 10 out of 23. That's a .435 average. On base at a .519 clip and slugging over .600.
Having a nice series, and he's another guy that's put up very good numbers in this ballpark. Over the years, he is a .371 hitter here. 36 out of 97. He's acquired from the Mets for Neil Walker. .68 and .67 lifetime with an ERA just below 4. A good solid middle back of the rotation guy. Some nice years with the Mets.
Battling a left knee issue recently, so the start had been pushed back a bit.
He's not had a lot of luck against the Cubs in his career. ERA up over 5. And you see among pitchers with at least 10 starts where he ranks. And 2 of the 4 above him, teammates Locke and Vogelsong.
1-2 on Hayward. Garrett Cole coming back from a triceps injury, pitching today for their AAA club, Indianapolis. They got a short start from Chad Kuhl last night. Swing and a miss, strike 3. 2 gone in the inning. Then they got 5 innings out of Francisco Liriano on Friday night. And here's Baez with 2 outs. I saw Clint Hurdle today, and he told me it was last night was the first time he had used 3 pitchers in the first 4 innings of a game without an injury since he has been in Pittsburgh. Kuhl went 2 1/3. Nicasio went 1. Caminero an inning and 2/3, and he got the win. Yeah, it was a crazy game last night.
I think there's a little sense of urgency from the Pirates this weekend. Had a chance to put a dent in this Cubs lead, and so far so good from their point of view. And I got the sense watching that game last night that Clinton was treating it a little differently than maybe your average run-of-the-mill regular season game.
Josh Bell with the big grand slam to kind of put that game to bed. Baez chases. Nice gets out of the inning, but not before the Cubs get 2 on the Russell single. Pirates have won 9 of their last 10, and they've come from behind 8 times in their last 9 games. Jaso, Marte, McCutchen at the top. Big series, big season for Andrew McCutchen against the Cubs. Freese, Rodriguez, and Frazier in the middle. 3 homers combined so far in the series among that group. Mercer, Fryer, and Neese rounding it out.
Cubs defensively are set up this way this afternoon. Chris Bryant in left. Albert Almora Jr. gets a start in center. Jason Hayward slides back over to right. Baez, Russell, Zobrist, Rizzo. On the infield, Wilson Contreras behind the plate. And our Blue Cross Blue Shield starting pitcher is John Lackey. Choose Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, the card to carry through it all. John 7-5 with an ERA of 3.50 as he makes his 18th start.
One strike on John Jaso.
League batting .221 against Lackey. Right-handed batter is just .214 against him. They've hit 9 of the 12 home runs he has allowed. Polanco banged up, not in there today. Matt Joyce a little nicked up. Perhaps he would have gotten a start against Lackey. So it's predominantly right-handed hitting lineup for the Pirates here this afternoon.
Josh Harrison got hit by a pitch in the foot and left early yesterday, as well as Jaso foul tips for strike 3. So this starting staff still leading the majors in earned run average. The Cubs 5 had a .229 collective ERA on June 17th. 22 games since, it's .566. So that has put it up to 3.04 on the season. It's the first time it's been over 3 since April 13th.
Yeah, we knew there would be regression with the Cubs starters. Or I shouldn't say we knew, but there's a pretty good chance there was going to be some regression. It's just it's been so sudden, and it's hit everybody in the rotation except for Kyle Hendricks.
Zobrist can't get it. He was shaded toward the middle, so the All-Star Marte is aboard. He found out yesterday afternoon that he was headed to the All-Star game for the first time as an injury replacement for Yoenis Cespedes. And going into the break, Kyle Hendricks will lead the starters in ERA at .255. Kyle will pitch on Friday to start the Rangers series. Jason Hamill on Saturday, and then Lackey will take the ball again 1 week from today. Andrew McCutchen fouls.
McCutchen having a good series. He's having a rough year, but he's having a good series, and would not be surprised to see him have a big second half. Marte certainly a threat to run. He's got 28 steals. He's been caught 6 times.
Lackey holds at the belt, and the pitch. Swing and a miss on a slider.
Yeah, and that for whatever reason, John did not use his slider very much at all in his last start against Cincinnati. Threw a lot of fastballs, maybe more curveballs than it normally does, but backed way off on the slider. I don't know if if it was the matchup with the Reds hitters, he didn't like the feel of it in the bullpen. Who knows, but it's such a good weapon for him.
He had a 3-start stretch, May 29th through June 8th. 2 against the Phillies, 1 against the Diamondbacks. He won all 3. Allowed 1 run combined. Swing and a miss, strike 3, and Marte is safe at second with a double clutch by Contreras. But Marte's got his 29th steal, 2 outs in the inning.
Well, he got a terrible jump, flat-footed lead, not a big lead at all. Still manages to steal the base. Two
strikeouts in the inning now. David Freese Snapped a 9-game hitting streak on Saturday.
Pirate fans probably flashing back to Omar Moreno.
Yeah. And before Phil Garner bats, pitcher and catcher will discuss. Yeah, so Lackey had those 3 starts to get his ERA down to 2.63, but the last 5 times out, no wins, 3 losses, and a 5.97.
Yeah, two starts in particular really putting a dent in that ERA. In Miami on the 25th of June, he allowed 7 earned runs and 4 1/3. Last time out, he was charged with 5 earned runs in 6 innings against the Reds.
Almost a quick pitch there from the stretch. 1-1. Make it 2-1. That's inside.
It's interesting to read John Lester's comments after his game last night. He said, you know, why does it always have to be something physical or mechanical for a pitcher? You know, sometimes you're just bad. And I think when guys have been as good as these guys have been, when they have a bad outing or two, yeah, everybody's looking for, well, what happened? Did your elbow sore, your shoulder? Did you sometimes you just don't make pitches, and sometimes the other team just has a really good night. And when it's a combination of both, that's when it gets really ugly.
Knocked down by Baez, and he gets Marte and a rundown. So resourceful there, as he knew he was going to have trouble throwing out Freeze after the ball got away. 2-0 after an inning.
Game along with Joe Madden. Log on to WGNTV.com right now. Click on the WGN Sports Game Zone banner. Connect to all the up-to-the-minute stats and information while you watch from home. It's foul ball. Game Zone is sponsored by The Great Escape. Pools, patio furniture, hot tubs, and more. Everything you need to have more fun at home this summer.
Cubs lead 2-0. 0-1 on Albert Almora Jr. Look out. There's a bat. And flying into the Pirates dugout.
Interesting AD going on right now.
I thought you were saying look out to the people behind home plate with that foul ball coming right back at him. But the bat also an issue. Now Moore's going to get a little. He's going to get a new weapon, is what he's going to get.
Pitcher Lackey on deck, then Zobrist. One and two. John Neese is from Defiance, Ohio. He's 2 years behind then future major league pitcher Chad Billingsley. Freeze makes the play.
Billingsley is done, is he not? All kinds of injury problems.
So. To declare the guy's career over though before it is, so don't know just yet.
He pitched
not pitching this year.
7 times for the Phillies last year. Billingsley still well, he's 31 now. So promising when he first came into the league.
In the air to deep right at the wall. It is caught by Frazier. John Lackey robbed of possible extra bases.
Now you certainly don't anticipate Lackey driving the ball over your head if you're a right fielder, but Lackey puts pretty good charge in that one. There's your Mazda replay. Cam Frazier, who plays the infield and the outfield. Drifting under that one, making a fine play.
2 outs. Zobrist will bat. He started the game with a single and later scored on the Russell 2-run hit. He throws and just missed the inside corner. This will wrap up a stretch of 24 in a row without an off day. First time the Cubs have been in a stretch this long without a respite since 2004. Joe pointed out the Rays in 2008, a team that went to the World Series. They went into the break on a 7-game losing streak. They had won 7 in a row, then they lost 7 straight.
Yeah, that's what you do when you're going through a stretch like this. If you're the manager, you try to keep everything calm. You try to find some historical precedents and say, don't worry, guys, we're going to be okay here. You know, we told that story before. I've told it a number of times. Tommy Lasorda, when he was managing in AAA, these guys went through a long losing streak, and he said, "Hey, even the 27 Yankees lost 9 in a row," which proved not to be true. But that's, you know, it was just his way of trying to get his guys not to panic.
Swing and a miss, and that ends the inning. 1, 2, 3 go the Cubs. They lead early 2-0. Baseball blog at WGNTV.com, sponsored by Jeff Vukovich, your nationwide insurance agent serving the area for 38 years. To join the nation, contact Jeff at jeffvuk.com. Nationwide is on your side. Sean Rodriguez, who has homered twice in this series, getting the start today at second base. Deep center. Almora will watch it go as he bangs it off the batter's eye wall. 3 games in the series, 3 home runs.
Like a multivitamin, 1 a day for Rodriguez here. He's having a nice year offensively. That's his 10th home run. He doesn't play every day, so his home run to at bat ratio is awfully good. Explosive swing there. Pirates cut the lead in half, 1 swing of the bat, and the home run ball has really plagued Cubs pitchers over the last couple of weeks.
So the Pirates general manager Neil Huntington met the local media up here in the press box before the game. I'm sure just kind of a state of the team address before the All-Star break. I did not read what his comments were. As you look at this Pirates club getting into the trade season, they may not really be looking to add a whole lot in terms of veterans from other teams. They've got these young pitchers on the way. Josh Bell probably headed back to AAA, but has burst onto the scene this weekend. We've got another outfielder, Austin Meadows, who's on the DL, but considered one of their top outfield prospects in case they have an injury out there. But they've got a good bench. I don't think they really have any glaring holes, certainly position player wise.
No, I think ultimately they may end up with a surplus of starting pitching that they have to sort out in the second half.
That deflects off Lackey. Baez will spin, throw, and it gets past Rizzo. Frazier will make his way to second. First things first, hopefully Lackey's all right. DJ Mainville and Joe Madden will head out just to make sure.
Up on the side, rib cage maybe. Baez got that ball in plenty of time. Hurried his throw a little bit. This is a tough one to know as an infielder. You talk about that internal clock. Obviously, when it deflects off the pitcher, that changes the math a little bit. He spins and fires. And you see there that he still had a little extra time. Not an easy play. It'll probably be a hit and an error.
And it is single and an E5. Ball 1 on Jordy Mercer. He homered last night. And rolls one foul to right.
Pirates, like a lot of clubs, might be in the market for a bullpen piece to trade deadline. A lot of folks think the future is brighter than the present for the Pirates because of the young power arms that are just now coming to the big leagues.
Called strike 3. First out of the inning. Here comes the catcher Fryer.
Flips the outside corner. Rack him up Rackley.
I may be too close to it because we watch every day, and I mentioned the fouling balls off body parts. Feels like there's more of that these days. I think there's more grousing about the strike zone than ever before, and maybe part of it is replay seems to cover everything else. But pitchers, hitters, managers, pitching coaches. Is it because of pitch tracks?
I don't know. I've always felt like the
broadcasters
carping about the strike zone was kind of universal and has been around forever. And I think the modern umpire lets pitchers get away with it more than they used to.
That's going to tie the game. Fryer drives in Frazier, and it's 2-2.
Well, that's the other piece for the Cubs during this tough stretch. They've let a lot of leads get away. Now, this is very early in the ball game, but they've had a number of games in this stretch where they've taken leads into the middle innings, sometimes even into the 7th inning, haven't been able to hold it. This is an off-speed pitch, a breaking ball. It stays up in the zone. Fryer can swing it a little bit. And whacks one into the left field corner.
The pitcher Neese takes ball 1. Fryer had 2 hits last night. He came in hitting .380. And the Pirates grabbed him from the Cardinals off waivers. They're down to their essentially 4th and 5th string catchers.
Another reason for optimism here in Pittsburgh when they get Cervelli back. He was having a nice year when he got hurt.
Is inside. He's going 3-0 on the pitcher. Three and 2. John back in it. We'll try it again. Nationals lead the Mets 3-2 in the 3rd in New York. Nationals have won the last 2 in that series. They've got a 5-game lead. Daniel Murphy has homered again against the Mets.
Yeah, he's gone deep 7 times now against his former club this year. Which is a lot. It seems like even more. It seems like every game he plays against them, he goes deep.
Called strike 3. So 2 outs. Hey, Cub fans, let's go. Plan now for the August and September push towards the playoffs. Tickets are still available for the second half, but don't wait. They're going fast. Visit Cubs.com today. Going into today, 12 games this season for Daniel Murphy against the Mets. .438, 6 homers, 19 RBIs.
Daniel Murphy is to Mets as Chris Bryant is to Reds. It's going to be on the SAT. John Lackey wants to chat with his young catcher here. This is the 3rd time these two have worked together.
One ball, 1 strike. Here it is.
Jaso came into this ball game a .333 hitter against John Lackey, 6 out of 18 with a home run.
Right field and down for a hit, and the Pirates lead 3-2. 3-run second.
Pitch in, maybe off the plate inside, and Jaso able to drop the head of the bat on it. I thought that would hang up there long enough for Hayward to run under it. Obviously, that was not the case.
It's only the third hit for Jaso against the Cubs this year. He's 3 for 29, but he gives the Pirates the advantage and a strike on Marte. Hayward in right center, inning over. It's now 3-2 Pittsburgh after 2. Nicely done, sir. Cub fans, if you've ever wanted to sing the stretch at Wrigley, here's your chance thanks to Budweiser. You can upload your video at 7thinningstretchcontest.com or buy tickets for the next Bud Friday on July 15th in the bleachers. And you can try out like that guy did, not backing down since 1876. This Bud's for you.
Yeah, that was good. A lot of gusto there. Pointed to his hat. It was good. Good choreography. No blowout for Nice.
Strange landing there for him. He's got a 3-2 lead. Bryant, Rizzo, and Contreras. Chris is a little banged up. He's been hit by some pitches here lately. Playing through it. And if the season ended today, he'd be a very strong National League MVP candidate.
He ranks #1 and wins above replacement.
(3-1) taken for ball 4.
Hey, Chicagoland viewers, it's time for the Subway third inning triple play promotion. Text Subway 3 to 97999. Do it now. And the 300th texter will win a $30 gift card to a Subway restaurant in the Chicagoland area. Subway, fresh is what we do. Well, here comes another MVP candidate. Oh, what a combo, right? Back to back in the batting order. One right-handed, one left-handed. Both take walks, both hit for power and average.
Yeah, there aren't too many tandems you would want to take over these guys. Knocked down by Fryer.
Both still have a lot of prime ahead of them. Anthony's 26, Chris is 23, 24.
24.
First tandem in Cubs history to surpass 20 home runs prior to the All-Star break.
Swing and a miss, 2-2.
Yeah, it's become a go-to pitch for Jonathan Niese. That cut fastball. Throws it hard, just 88 miles an hour, little darting action, and that's truly a cutter. Usually not a lot of depth on this pitch.
Driven to deep right, and Frazier misjudged it. It's over his head. Bryant to third. He's going to be held there. It's a double for Rizzo. He just keeps on hitting. He's got 6 hits the last 2 nights.
Frazier made a pretty good play on the Lackey ball to the wall earlier, but a terrible read on this one. He's a little panicky here. He jumps, and he doesn't just misstep 1 or 2 steps. He comes flying in on this ball before realizing that that was not going to pan out for him.
Second and third with nobody out for Contreras. Ball 1. Great chance here for the Cubs to not only tie it up, but regain the lead. Ball 2. He's ready. The pitch. Swing and a miss. Sets up a 2-1. Picked up by Jay, so he'll step on first. Run scores. We're tied at 3. RBI for Contreras, and also Rizzo goes to third. A 2-for-1. Let's step aside and see what's coming up on WGN. Looks like we might have another wild one on our hands today. Cubs and Pirates wrapping up the weekend. Len and JD and our WGN crew. Infield pulled in against Addison Russell. And Niese knocks it down. Rizzo holds it third, and the out recorded. Niese just saved a run and maybe saved his life. That one was headed right back at his noggin.
Man, there's been a lot of hard contact against Niese. This is just a screamer right back at his coconut. He's able to throw the glove up and knock it down. Otherwise, that would have been real ugly.
And Vogelsong coming back from getting drilled in the face by a liner. Or actually, no, hit by a pitch, right? So here's Hayward. Hits it well, but Marte will make the catch. So the Cubs do tie it, but they did leave that runner at third. It's 3-3. Here's your Ford upcoming schedule. Got the All-Star game on Tuesday, a 4-day break for everybody else. The Texas Rangers come in for interleague play next weekend. The Mets at home and then at Milwaukee. A long stretch of games in Chicago coming up. Brought to you by Ford, inviting you to visit your local Ford store or localfordstores.com. And by the way, the Rangers are getting very short starts. I think they just snapped a streak of like 8 in a row. They haven't gotten 5 innings out of their starter. And Kyle Lohse last night went just 5.
Yeah, they're kind of limping into the break.
McCutchen high and deep center field. Almora to the wall. She's gone into the bullpen.
And McCutchen, every time the Cubs get something going, the Pirates respond. Second home run of the day for the Pirates. And they've hit a bunch of them here this weekend. Number 14 for McCutchen.
Freese swings and misses. Second home run for the Pirates today. Swing and a miss, strike 3.
The Cubs are celebrating Bud Fridays in the Budweiser bleachers all season long. This Friday, it would be the 15th, Budweiser will provide a distressed Cubs cap to up to the first 5,000 early arriving fans 21 and older in the Budweiser bleachers. Get here early. For details, visit Cubs.com/Fridays.
These are small sample sizes. Going back to our convo on Friday night. Andrew McCutchen becoming Andrew McCutchen again. It's more likely than him continuing to hit in the 230s or 240s. And this weekend, he has been lights out. Strikes on Rodriguez, who's homered in every game.
Now, I don't know if the Cub pitchers have an issue with it, but I used to hate it when the catchers would come out of the crouch the way Contreras is here when he's calling for a high fastball. It just changes the look too much for me. I'm guessing they don't have a problem, or they would tell him.
Yeah, I don't think John Lackey is a guy who would ever be shy about
letting his opinion be known.
Right. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Three and 2 after an 0-2 start.
Rodriguez got his start in the Angels organization. This came to the big leagues in 08. He's out.
Strike 3 called. Got our Bud fan cam coming up a little later. Hashtag Bud Fridays. Send in your selfie. The Caspers were here this weekend.
Hey.
Joe and Sharon. Great to see my folks.
Guys have a good time?
Yeah. Absolutely. Backhanded play, Rizzo. Frazier is out. McCutchen's leadoff homer gives the Pirates a 4-3 lead. Jamie Dennis recently got married. And again, hashtag Bud Fridays for your Cubs selfies. Another deficit, 4-3. Cubs have trailed twice. They led 2-0, trailed 3-2, tied it in the third, and then McCutchen untied it.
Has been really good against left-handed pitching this year, and Jonathan Neese has yielded a .531 slugging percentage to right-handed batters. That's the third highest in Major League Baseball. Trying to go east and west with that cutter in, then he'll change away. He'll pull the occasional two-seamer down and away. And once had a great while work upstairs with a four-seam fastball.
3-1 to Baez. Here's the pitch. He walked him.
Tough way to make a living issuing leadoff walks. That's how the third inning started when Chris Bryant worked the walk. He came around to score.
Jose Quintana has made the American League All-Star game, placing Danny Salazar.
What happened to Salazar? Is he pitching today? Thought he might start the All-Star game.
Yes, he pitched yesterday. He's got a sore elbow.
They're dropping like flies, aren't they?
Yep.
Stick around long enough, they might name you and I to the All-Star team. Depth chart is getting.
We have other plans.
Digging in pretty deep.
Want to know the count. 1-1. To go back to your line about hard way to make a living, Nice seems to be there for the taking in terms of putting up a big crooked number today. They've got 2 in the first, 1 in the third, although they had runners at second and third with nobody out in that inning. Driven deep left. Marte is back and it's gone. Cubs lead 5-4. As we were saying.
Yeah, just so much hard contact off Nice here today. Doesn't seem to be able to settle into any kind of a real rhythm. He has the second highest home run rate in the National League. A good swing there by Almora.
Second career homer. So Lackey now has another lead.
So you know, you're going to give up the long balls, but when they come after walks, it just compounds things. 1.74 home runs per 9 innings for Nice, second highest in the NL. His home run to fly ball rate up over 23%, the highest in Major League Baseball.
Boy, Lackey's hit the ball hard twice. And he's made outs both times. It's the first out here in the fourth.
So it's about just under a quarter of all balls in the air against Nice leave the ballpark. Now, there's probably an element of bad luck to that. But that's a lot of mistakes up in the zone, I'm guessing.
Southwest Airlines, how far did it fly? 382 feet. Want to know to Zobrist. Here's the pitch. It's a strike.
Do we know, and I bet you we can look it up if we don't know, and by we I mean you, because I don't know, the average distance of a Major League home run?
I don't know.
Do you care to hazard a guess? Would you like 375?
Yeah, I would say
370,
375. That would be my guess.
I'm going to look that up.
Okay.
Because you look at Almora's home run and say, well, it just barely cleared the wall, but the wall is very deep here.
Mm-hmm.
On Tuesday, July 19th, Cubs play the Mets. First pitch 6:05, and the first 10,000 early arriving fans will receive Cubs pajama bottoms presented by American Airlines. For more information, visit Cubs.com. You can wear them on your next flight. It's the gift that keeps on giving, and the beautiful thing about that gift is if you're hard to buy for, somebody says, you know what, he needs a pajama top to match those bottoms.
Right. Line shot, center field. In and out of the glove of McCutchen again. As Bryant is on, he tried to slide and grab, couldn't get it. And a base hit.
And last time we were in town, there was a bit of an adventure, a misadventure for McCutchen in center field on a line drive. And it's not an easy play by any means. I think most guys, once they're there, are going to be able to secure that baseball.
And he had it. According to HitTrackerOnline.com, the average distance of a home run, we were way off.
Well,
about 397 feet.
397.
Pretty close to 400. Yep.
Well, we weren't that far off. It's not like we said 250.
20 feet, but
plus or minus 3 percentage points. We're within the margin of error. Quinnipiac poll.
Archimedes Caminero hit 102 on the gun last night.
The Pirates have won 9 out of 10. They've played good ball for a couple of weeks now. The starting pitching has not been particularly good for them in this stretch. Scoring a lot of runs. The bullpen's been good. Bullpen's been outstanding for the most part. Neese in his last start at St. Louis was good. He went 5 2/3, allowed 8 hits and a run.
Lexus Run Predictor is brought to you by your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer. So it doesn't look like a great chance the Cubs would score here with 2 outs and a man at first, but one of the hottest hitters on the planet is at the plate, and it's 2-1 on Rizzo.
He's going to make another run at a cycle here this afternoon.
He was so close last night. Last at bat ended up being a double. Ball bounced off the top of the wall in left. Maybe less than a foot from the Cubs' first cycle in 23 years. Muscles that one out into right center. Bryant will make the turn. Rizzo's 3 for 3.
Three for 3, and we're only in the 4th inning. Bryant, despite that banged up knee, pushing through to third base.
That's it for the starter, Neese. Rizzo up to 297 on the year. Clint Hurdle will go into his bullpen early again. 5-4 Cubs in the 4th.
Cubs Authentics auction page every week for your chance to own one of a kind game used Cubs items. This week's auction includes game used items from the 4th of July game. Go to Cubs.com/Authentics before 8 tonight to place your bid. The Cubs will donate net proceeds from the sale of Cubs Authentics to Cubs charities.
Here's Archimedes Caminero, the most effective pitcher last night, and he got the win. An inning and 2/3, 3 strikeouts, and he was firing some heat.
Yeah, his average fastball velocity better than 97 miles per hour. Seen him reach triple digits. Been on a nice roll lately. Real nice job cutting down on the walks. That was always the issue with Caminero. Hard thrower, extreme hard thrower, great stuff. But he lacked command, but much better here of late.
First pitch swinging on 97. Contreras into shallow left. Little collision. Mercer caught it. He and Marte came together. And the inning is over. But a two-run homer by Albert Almora Jr. And the Cubs lead 5-4.
Get ugly. Get too sexy.
Hey, Cub fans, show your team pride with Cubs checking and an official Cubs MasterCard debit card only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/Cubs to learn more. Member FDIC. So John Lackey has a 5-4 lead as he works here in the last of the fourth. Anthony Rizzo has 7 consecutive hits. Going back to last night. 1-1 to Mercer, batting 7th for the Pirates today. I'm guessing no Adam Warren today. For the Pirates, you'd think no Jared Hughes. He got a 3-inning save last night.
Yeah, he's got to be down. Kyle Hendricks threw a bullpen before the game. He'll make the first start after the break. He's not going to pitch in this game. I mean, you have a long extra inning game, he might be in play.
Russell gets Mercer.
Baseball's 2 biggest summer events back to back. The Home Run Derby on July 11th at 7 Central, and the very next night, don't miss baseball's biggest stars at the 87th All-Star Game presented by MasterCard July 12th. Coverage begins at 6:30.
Fryer, who was a Cardinal, is now a Pirate once again.
Yeah, this is where he started. If he hits home run, is it a deep Fryer?
It would be. I was kind of hoping you'd laugh at my Fryer Cardinal line. Rizzo will make the catch. There, so you laughed the second time. That works. 2 outs.
I didn't even catch it. I was Thought you were just talking about the path of his career, wasn't it?
Matt Joyce with a pinch hit. He left the game last night with a quad issue. Dangerous off the bench this year.
So Clint Hurdle making good use of Caminero after a longer outing last night. Probably just had him for a hitter or two here today, so he brought him into that dangerous situation. He got out of it. And now he'll keep the line moving in the bullpen. Joyce has been awfully good in the pinch. Well, he's been really good overall. He's got good numbers. Jeff Locke from the rotation to the bullpen here on the final day before the break. Johnny Allstaff Day.
It will be Locke's first relief appearance since 2012. Two and two now on the pinch hitter Joyce. Payoff pitch popped in the air to right. Just got under one as Hayward camps under it. And the Pirates go in order for the first time today. The fifth inning is brought to you by Fifth Third Bank, the Curious Bank. You looking at me?
He's an accountant during the week. He's a Pirate on the weekends.
There's Jeff Locke.
17 games, all starts. 8-5 with a 5.38. So again, you know, the Locke. Nice having his struggles.
Liriano.
Yeah, Liriano. I mean, I don't think they're going to jettison Liriano, but with, you know, Taillon and Glasnow and these young kids coming up, some of these guys might be fighting to keep their spot in the rotation and ultimately may move to the bullpen.
Juan Nicasio has already moved from the rotation to the pen. As Russell takes ball one. Cubs lead 5-4.
Another one of those pitch to contact guys. Usually runs a below average strikeout rate, but he's significantly below this year. So you become a little susceptible to the balls in play gods when you put the ball in play as much as he has. Changeup. Fastball maybe a little bit below average in terms of velocity. Changeup is his best secondary pitch, and he'll use the occasional curveball, but he's backed way off that this year. Throwing a few more sliders. Do we know who the starting pitchers are for the All-Star game? Has that been announced yet?
I think they announced that tomorrow when the managers meet the media in San Diego. I have to believe managers have called the starter and said, hey, by the way, don't tell anybody, but
don't tweet it.
Two in the air, right center. It's McCutchen.
Having a little fun at his own expense. I got this one. Yes.
Hayward has struck out and lined out. Jeff Locke is a New Hampshire native. 6 feet 195.
Originally drafted and signed by the Braves. Second round of 2006. Traded to the Pirates in 09. Nate McLouth, I think. Is that the deal? Well, they made a couple deals with the Braves back in the day.
Yep. June 3rd, 2009. Came over with Gorkys Hernandez and Charlie Morton in the McLouth deal. Snagged by Mercer. He just robbed Hayward of a hit. 2 down.
Yeah, more hard contact for the Cubs. They chased Nisa already. This is a bullet, little chuck and duck from Locke, but Mercer there, well positioned, good reaction to take away a base hit from Hayward, who's having a very nice series. Getting a lot of good swings. Positive results, but not this time. Mercer there to make the play on him.
So it's Baez with 2 outs. Hard hit ground ball toward the hole. Backhanded Mercer. Jump throw to first. Safe. Infield hit Baez.
Man, heck of a play by Mercer. Beautiful play, and it looked like Chris Guccione, the first base umpire, was winding up, getting ready to call Baez out had Jaso been able to hang on to this baseball. I think he would have been wrong had he done it, but it's a knock for Javi. His second reach. He walked and scored last time. Talking to folks here watching the Pirates every day, their evaluation of Jaso at first base has been okay, you know, for a guy who really played the position. It's a little awkward sometimes with the footwork.
Almora's 2-run homer in the 4th, giving the Cubs this 5-4 lead. Pitcher a little locked up here.
Trying to upset Baez's rhythm at first base, I'm guessing.
Speed replay brought to you by Xfinity. Brings you the Almora go-ahead homer. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. Lined fair. Fair ball. Kicks off the sidewall. Baez to third. Gary Jones is going to stop him. Baez runs right through it, and he's going to be out. Gary Jones tried to stop him. Baez kept on going, and the Pirates get out of the inning. It's still 5-4 Cubs. Or 9-4-2 to get Baez.
It looked like Jonesy was waving him and then tried to throw up a stop sign. By that point, Baez had already committed. Yeah, you see it there, the last little crank of the left arm, and then the stop sign comes up. And, you know, it's a defensible play either way because Lackey's coming up next. So, pretty good chance they're going to be able to retire John. But obviously, not a bad decision if you decide to slam on the brakes there either, because you never know what's going to happen. I just wonder if you're waving a guy or if you commit to try to score, you're just hoping for a mishandle or an errant throw.
Soft liner is picked by Rizzo to retire Jaso.
Cub fans, join the Cubs season ticket holder waiting list. Do it today. Claim your spot in our lineup for season tickets. It's easy and free to register. For details, visit Cubs.com/waiting list.
One 1-0 on Marte. Pirates now 6 years in a row. They've had multiple All-Stars. Melanson and Marte. Year 2016. No Andrew McCutchen. First time he'll get an actual break in 6 seasons. Fouled off.
Hot day to be a pierogi.
Almost hit him.
Yeah, he got him. Yeah.
And he gets hit a lot.
It's the kindest hit by pitch.
It's because they're wearing these throwback jerseys. They're a little bigger. Pirates and Cubs by far get hit more often than any other teams in baseball. McCutchen with a strikeout and a home run. The homer gave them the lead in the 3rd. After the Cubs had tied it. Strike 1. There you have it. Rizzo, Marte, Bryant among the league leaders. He's had to work hard today, trying to get through this 5th. Marte runs, and he's safe. Ball gets into center. Marte on his way to 3rd. Might be a play there. Almora's throw late. Steal and an error. And that could be big, as he's at 3rd with only 1 out.
Not a particularly big lead by Marte. The throw sails high. Second throwing error in as many days for Contreras.
I've got 5 steals in the series for Marte. Wow. Infield in. Rizzo way off the bag at first. Mackey would love a strikeout here. Pitch fouled away.
That's an interesting infield alignment with Baez back a step or 2 of the bag. Russell all the way in. Zobrist and Rizzo pretty tight together on the right side of the infield.
Marte with his 30th stolen base. Jonathan Villar of the Brewers came in leading the NL with 31. Swing and a miss. He got him. Big strikeout.
Huge.
Let's step aside and see what's coming up on WGN. Back here in Pittsburgh, infield back with 2 outs. David Freese takes ball 1. Cubs trying to avoid the series sweep and push the Pirates back to 7.5 out. Lackey's 1-1. 2-1.
Strikeout of McCutchen, John's 7th this afternoon. He's not walked anybody. He walked 5 in his last start. Season high.
John has pitched for a long time and in a bunch of postseason games, and he has kind of downplayed some of really all of the games up until this point, and saying, you know, these games aren't nearly as important as they will get, but this one does feel like it carries a little more importance. Ball 4.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're all important, and you don't ever want to get accused as a player of being nonchalant and taking things for granted. I mean, you come every day to play hard and you try to win, but it's such a long season, and it's a tired old cliche, but it applies. You try to stay on an even keel, the peaks and valleys. You don't get too high when things are going well, and you try to not get too low when you're scuffling. Now Joe's philosophy is a little different. He's like, when you're winning, yeah, it's party time, but just don't let the losses affect you in a negative way.
Lackey did not really want to walk Freese to get to the hot hitting Rodriguez. But here we are, 1-0 the count. Swing and a miss on a slider. Been a good pitch for him today. That's the tying run at third, Marte. In the air to right. Hayward is over and no play.
It's really annoying music they play here.
Is it that particular song?
It's that fake organ they got going.
Bounce to Rizzo, and that'll end the inning. They strand 2. Cubs still lead 5-4.
Cubs baseball is brought to you by Budweiser, not backing down since 1876. This Bud's for you. Nine runs, 16 hits total in this ball game after a crazy one here last night. Really not fretting too much about all that out there on the Allegheny. John Lackey will take the at bat. 0 for 2 today. A couple of good swings though. A deep fly out to right and a sharp ground ball to third. Jeff Locke out there for his second inning of work. Follow Jonathan Neese, the starter, who lasted 3 2/3, and Archimedes Caminero pitched a third of an inning.
Two strikes to Lackey. Outside for a ball. Called strike 3. Lackey says no.
MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you have come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. Includes a free subscription to @Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. MLB.TV for details.
Swinging strike on Zobrist. McCutchen looks that one in as well.
It's finding out that it works better if you actually open your glove when the ball gets there. Locke will work off the plate inside with the fastball to set up the change. Which a lot of guys are going to chase. Bryant, not like a lot of guys. That's why he's an MVP candidate and an all-star for the second consecutive year.
That will get down. It'll give Rizzo a chance. Bryant on for the third time. And today's bona fide player of the game, Anthony Rizzo. He's 7 for his last 7. Wrap your hands around the original Italian beef of Bona, proudly served at Wrigley Field.
I have to try one of those bad boys.
Hot foul back out of play.
Single, double, single today for Anthony. Lefty Neese couldn't solve him, and this time he got lucky because Frazier, the right fielder, just made a bad read. Otherwise, that's an out. But it's a 2-base hit, and there's his third one. He just muscles that one through.
Going outside.
So what, Albert Pujols, didn't he make the All-Star team like the first 10 years in the league or something like that?
Sounds right.
Chris Bryant could be off and running on a similar run.
Pujols did not make it his second year.
Didn't. Okay, well, never mind then. Moving right along.
9 out of his first 10.
9 out of 10.
Yep. Can't remember why he didn't make it. You know, 257 games, 34 homers, 127 knocked in. But that was the whole season.
Must have had a mediocre first half.
Yeah, I'm going to find that out. That's a fair ball. 8 straight hits for Rizzo. Bryant on his way to third. It's a double for Rizzo. What a run he's had.
He's like wee Willie Keeler, only he's not very wee. He's rather large. And this one, talk about hit them where they ain't. They got the shift on, and he just nudges that one down the third baseline. Softly hit, so Marte can't get there, and everybody gets 2 bases.
Second and third. 2-out rally started. Here's Contreras. Albert had a big first half, so yeah, I don't remember why.
And he's got his average up to 300 now.
Ground ball to third. And Locke will get out of the inning. Cubs strand a couple. Rizzo stays hot though. 5-4.
On to game summary. Take a look at our Honda game summary. A lot of points going up on the board. 5-4, 18 hits. Nice gone. Lackey hanging in there. Rizzo continues to do his thing. Albert Almora Jr. 2 out of 3 with his second career home run. Start something special with a great deal on a Honda now at your Honda dealer.
John Lackey into the 6th with a 5-4 lead. Facing Adam Frazier. 24 years old. 14th major league game for Frazier, off to a very good start.
High average hitter throughout his minor league career with little or no power.
Neftali Feliz up for the Pirates. Slicing drive to left, foul.
In this big ballpark, Frazier's game, spraying the ball around the field, he should be able to pick up a fair number of doubles.
Okay, we have our answer. The Albert Pujols question. Called strike 3. Thanks to Jackson Dooling, who did the research. Pujols in 2002 was a final player candidate with Andrew Jones, Brian Giles, Larry Walker, and Ryan Klesko. And he came up short. I think finished 3rd. Behind Giles, behind Jones and Giles.
And this was
He finished 4th.
2002?
Yeah, finished 4th of the 5. Hayward in right gets Mercer.
Maybe Lance Berkman won the fan vote that year. I don't know. Astros players generally don't win the fan vote.
Andrew Jones.
No, just the regular first base fan vote.
I don't know.
Although Bagwell still would have been playing, Lance would have been in the outfield. We digress.
Fryer, the batter. Josh Bell is on deck. Bell with the pinch hit single. First pitch he saw to start his career on Friday against Jake Arrieta, and then last night hit a grand slam. Awkward swing by Fryer. 1-1.
Bell really should contemplate retiring because it's all downhill from here. 2 at bats, pinch hit, pinch grand slam.
One more note. 2002 is the first year of that extra player balloting. It was also the tie game, right? That changed the it now counts.
That now matters.
Yep. Lackey, 1, 2, 3. Javi Baez. this year going into this series, and they had won 7 straight in this ballpark. But, dropping the first 2 and trying to salvage a finale going into the All-Star break. Locke to Russell.
Let me make a suggestion here.
Please
Score some more.
Wouldn't be a bad idea, would it?
The way the Pirates are swinging it this weekend. There you go.
Fair ball. It'll kick off the sidewall that juts out. Russell's going to have to hold. As Marte got to it pretty quickly.
Yeah, Marte, such a weapon out there in left field. Big left field here at PNC Park. He's got tremendous speed and really knows how to play the bounces out there as well. So what appeared to be an easy double off the bat turns into a single. Well read by Marte. Probably a good decision with nobody out there for Addison not to push it.
Ray Searage. Ray Searage and Eric Fryer both on the mound on a hot day.
I'd be wearing that black pullover if I were Ray.
Carl Edwards Jr.
So we started the day with that graphic in the first inning about the Cubs leading off an inning. And they're high on base percentage in such situations, and it's certainly been the case here today. That's what 4 times the leadoff man has reached in 7 innings.
Yeah, they've had a lot of traffic. One last note on Albert Pujols in 2002. He was playing left field at that time. Played just a little first base the year before.
Played third, right, when he first came up?
Yeah, yeah. Left, right, third, first. He was not a full-time first baseman until 2 years later. Called strike, 1-1. Why did we start talking about Albert? Oh, you were talking about
Chris Bryant making. Yeah. For some reason, I had it in my mind that Albert started his career with 10 consecutive All-Star, but maybe it was 10 consecutive 30 home run, 100 RBI or something like that. He's really good. Is the point, and Bryant is really good as well.
Hayward pops it up. And it's Rodriguez in shallow right from the second base position.
Well, pitching change coming.
It will be a right-hander. When we return in the 7th, Cubs lead by a run.
Pirates this year. Busy guy. This is his 41st appearance. He's 3-0 with a 394. Very good strikeout numbers. You see that whip of 0.95. That's really good anytime you're below 1. You're really dealing. Upper 90s fastball. Good slider.
Russell at first, 1 out. Baez the hitter. Cubs leading by a run.
The average whip for a major league pitcher is 1.33. That's walks plus hits per innings pitched. Well, his at 0.95 is significantly better than average.
See the lead by Russell, and there he goes. The pitch is up and in. Throw right on the money. The Flyers had a nice series both ways. 2 down.
Yeah, the stolen base really not a big part of Addison's game. Well, it takes a shot here, and Fryer up to the challenge.
Meantime, 2-0 on Baez. Bases empty as he takes a breaking ball for a strike. Two Almora on deck.
Like Javi was cheating a little bit there. Guessing fastball. Tough guess against Feliz. I mean, he is a hard thrower and he's got a good one, but he likes that slider, especially against right-handed hitters. And then he paints the outside corner.
That ends the inning. We will stretch here in Pittsburgh. It's 5-4 Cubs. transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Ford, America's best-selling brand 6 years running, inviting you to check out our fuel-efficient lineup at your local Ford store or at localfordstores.com. Mattress Firm, where we want you to sleep happy guaranteed. Remember, if it's over 8, it's time to replace. Your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer. State Farm, there for you when things go wrong, but also here to help life go right. Talk to an agent today at 800 State Farm. Honda, start something special with a great deal on a Honda now at your Honda dealer. And by Budweiser, not backing down since 1876. This Bud's for you.
Time for today's Bud Bandcamp.
That is Can't Keep Checking My Phone by Unknown Mortal Orchestra. The next Bud Friday, July 15th, featuring Distressed, Cubs, Caps. That is our friend Susie Cool. We've never met Susie, but you like the name.
Susie Cool, how do you not like? I just hope she has a brother named Joe.
She is a Pirates ball girl and a Root Sports live production intern. Root Sports produces the Pirates games.
And it is Cool, C-O-O-L, unlike the pitcher that they used last night, Chad Cool. He's K-U-H-L.
She has tweeted at us because people have told her that we've mentioned her on our broadcast. Here's Josh Bell as John Lackey will lead it on, and will start the 7th inning. Last night he hit the grand slam after singling 2 nights ago in his major league debut, and this was a blast. So here he is again, and Clint Hurdle said when he got here he's just going to pinch hit this weekend and head back to AAA. He's making the most of his short stay. Lined foul to left. Guy thinks it's easy, doesn't he?
Well, first impressions matter, and he's making a great one. Lackey with 9 strikeouts in the ball game, the most he's had in a start since June 3rd, at home against the Diamondbacks. You notice when Wilson goes into that standing position behind home plate, how often the pitcher misses the spot. And it may be that the pitcher's just disregarding it. So a lot of times you'll do that as a pitcher. You want to throw the ball in a different location. But the other part of it too is I think it can be disconcerting because it's such a different look.
Lackey up over 100 pitches on the day. Here's his 1-2. Now 2-2.
So Bell getting called up to the big leagues the other day, and apparently the AAA manager had a team meeting and made up some crazy story about production of Peter Pan here in town, and they needed Tinker Bell, and that's how he let everybody in the team know that Bell was coming to the big leagues.
He's putting together quality plate appearance against a veteran, John Lackey, in a tight ball game late. Will not be a quality start. John has already given up 4 runs, but all he wants is a win.
The youngsters that got it started on Friday in the Arrieta game in the 7th inning. The Pirates were down 1. Frazier worked the walk before Bell delivered the base hit. And in swing mode now.
Another 3-2. He walked him. How about Josh Bell? Pinch hitting 3 straight days to start his career. Single grand slam leadoff walk.
And after expanding to go after that backdoor breaking ball, he was able to lay off that sinker down.
Jaso with an RBI single in the second. He's 1 for 3.
Jaso, one of the extreme ground ball hitters in the National League.
Tony Watson, left-hander, is up.
Not anyone important.
Swing and a miss. Hockey with 3 straight scoreless innings after McCutchen hit that go-ahead homer in the 3rd. During that time, the Cubs took the lead.
Well, Bell's not a base stealer. He had 1 steal down at AAA, was caught 6 times.
Lifted foul to left, out of play.
Yeah, it looks to me like Jaso's really making a concerted effort to hit the ball in the air. Keep those hands pulled in, thinking middle away, much more likely to get the ball airborne with that approach.
Line drive, base hit. Pirates threatening. 2 on, nobody out.
Yeah, 2, 3, 4 due up here. I'd be surprised if Joe lets these hitters get another look at John. It's just real good work by Jaso. Quiet lower body. Shoots that line drive into center.
Pitching change, 5-4 Cubs. 2 on, nobody out, and getting right into the heart of the Pirates batting order.
Yeah, Strop struggled last time out. It's been a while. He's had 4 days off since his last appearance. That was against Cincinnati on the 5th of July. He allowed a couple of runs, a couple of walks, a home run.
Got that spot with my elbow yet.
Not an issue here in this part of the order, but I wonder if Polanco might be available for a pinch hit appearance later. With the way Bell was swinging these last couple of days, there was no need to use him to start this inning. And Joyce already used in the 4th. Something to keep in mind down the road. Bounce to 3rd. Baez will get one, throw to 3rd, safe. Joe will want to make sure on video that the call was right, because he possibly could ask for a review, but well, you'd love to get 2 outs there.
Well,
and you only
should have
got
had
1.
2 outs. I'm not sure what Javi was doing. Why didn't just throw this ball to second base and go around the horn for a double play?
Really close at 3rd.
Yeah, I guess maybe he thought he was going to get a triple play.
Safe, and assuming he stayed on the bag. That is a huge fielder's choice. Yeah, David Martinez saying he beat it.
Joe's like he couldn't hear him.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm trying to figure out why he was running.
Just throw the ball to second base. Go around the horn for a double play again. Unless he had some notion that he could run the runner back. Start a 5-4-3 double play and then still get Bell on his way to 3rd base. I doubt that that's what he was thinking. I think he just saw the base runner coming his way and reacted to it.
Yeah. So they will play back at double play depth with McCutchen at the plate. Tying run 90 feet away, and still only 1 out. And to right and out of play. I mean, in the end, a better option would have been just tag him. It would have been 1st and 2nd. But as you said, he thought he had time to turn 2. Hayward in the corner. This will tie the game. He's got it in foul territory, and the throw to the plate. Oh, safe. I didn't think he had a prayer, and he almost threw him out.
Yeah, I was getting ready to second guess the decision to throw home, but what a cannon. And we've seen Jason Hayward make so many good throws already, and that was awfully close at home plate. The Cubs are taking a look at it. Man, this is maybe the most impressive throw he's gotten off yet.
Bell beat it. And your point was with the throw going to the plate, now the go-ahead run is in scoring position in Marte. That Dave Parker field, isn't it?
Yeah, I would not be surprised to find out at some point that Javi Baez turned a triple play at some point in his career on a ground ball like that. Again, it's one of 2 scenarios. He was just trying to make a hero play, or the base runner coming in his direction got his attention. But the play, the way to play that ball is just go ahead and throw the ball second base and start the double play. Sometimes you go for great and you don't even get good.
Now the other question is, throw goes to second. Did Zobrist have a play at third? I don't know if Russell was already over there though. Force at second, throw to third. That's something maybe Baez was thinking. 2-1 pitch, swing and a miss, 2-2. Run charged to the starter Lackey. Three and two. Line shot, and it'll hold up for Hayward, and that'll end the inning. Pirates do tie it. It's 5-5 to the 8th. It looked like Baez was thinking run down with Bell after getting the force.
Right, and that was an option that Ben Zobrist had because Russell went over to cover third base. So it's just, if that's the case, it's just next level thinking by Baez. Because again, the routine play is 5-4-3. But I think you're right. I think Javi was thinking, well, if I run this guy back to the base, we get a force there, and then we could throw Bell out at third base with Russell covering the bag. That's just, you know, it's hard to know because he's a very smart baseball player. He's got great instincts, and that may be what he was thinking. But you know, it's tough for a player who thinks on that level to assume that everybody else is thinking with him. I guess would be the challenge.
Right. And if you execute that play the way it looked like he wanted to, instead of 5-4-3 runner at third, 2 outs. Right. It's a runner at first and 2 outs.
Right. That's
which is pretty brilliant. I go back earlier as Watson's in and gets a swing and a miss from Almora to the play recently where he fired to Chris Bryant when it looked like Chris wasn't thinking he was going to throw to third. So every once in a while that point guard will make that behind the back pass. Swing and a miss, strike 3. I got another question on Twitter, and I don't think you would disagree with my answer. The question was, should Hayward have let that ball drop because he did catch it in foul territory? My answer is twofold: no and no. The first reason you shouldn't let it drop is it was barely foul, could have been fair, and I think this early in the game you take the out. You don't get too fancy.
Right.
And he almost threw the guy out at the plate anyway.
7th inning, you're not sure you're in foul territory. You got to catch the ball.
That's Caesar off the bench.
Well, and then the other play in Cincinnati earlier this year, the play where Javi was playing short and he came in and charged the ball and it looked like he was going to go to first base, and out of the corner of his eye he saw, wait a minute, I got a shot at second. He kind of threw back across his body to Zobrist, and Ben didn't handle the throw. You know, it was a quick snap throw. He was kind of close to him, not an easy play, but I guess the lesson is if you're playing alongside Baez, be ready for anything.
Two on the way, and a strike on the inside corner. Driven deep left center. Marte giving chase off the wall. Oh man, if Matt had pulled that ball about 10 feet to the left, it's a home run, but instead it hit right near that 410 marker in the north side notch. As it is, it's a 1-out double.
Yeah, this ball crushed. It's a big yard out there, 410 into that notch. And Karam kicks right back to McCutchen. Otherwise, Caesar might get 3 bases.
Inside to Zobrist. Popped up on the bunt. Watson makes the catch. Zobrist trying to sneak attack. Time for a Mattress Firm Great 8 stat of the game. This series has been wild. We've had 8 ties and 9 lead changes. Brought to you by Mattress Firm, where we want you to sleep happy, guaranteed. Remember, if it's over 8, it's time to replace. Here's Bryant. Singles in his last 2 at bats. Swing and a miss. And the guy on deck has 8 hits in a row. Inside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Cubs with 14 hits in this ball game. Scored 5. All their scoring came in the first 4 innings. They've had chances since, but have not been able to push through. Big 2-out knock has been elusive.
There's a base hit. Caesar will be sent. Marte up with it. Throw to the plate. He's safe. Cubs lead 6-5. Kris Bryant with a big hit with 2 outs.
There's that big 2-out knock. 3rd consecutive hit for Bryant. He plates Caesar. Strong throw by Marte, but the speedy Caesar wins the race.
Rizzo the batter. Single double to start his afternoon. Lefty to lefty. 1-1.
Watson's been one of the better lefty setup men in the league for a while now. Good heater, real good changeup.
How about this? Rizzo's gone from 290 to 300, right on the button going into this plate appearance. He went into June in the 230s. Ground ball. Little bobble. Rodriguez has time. The hit streak snapped by Rizzo, but the Cubs regain the lead. They answer right back. Bryant with the big hit. And it's 6-5 Cubs as we go to the bottom of the 8th from Pittsburgh. Cubs. This roller coaster ride of a series ending today, and Carl Edwards Jr. Talk about added responsibility since he came up. He's pitching in the 8th inning with a 1-run lead.
Yeah, certainly a high leverage situation for the young right-hander, and he's been impressive. 9 2/3 innings. He's allowed just 4 hits, 3 walks while striking at 11. Scoreless inning here Friday, allowed a hit and a walk, had a strikeout.
5 appearances last year. This is his 9th so far this season. Sean Rodriguez, who has homered in all 3 games of the series, leads it off and fouls away. Adam Frazier, then Jordy Mercer.
Ten home runs for Rodriguez, just 2 shy of his career best for a single season. A couple years ago with Tampa, he had 12.
Big swing and a miss. Chopper foul. Nationals won the final 3 in New York. 3-2 today. 6-game lead in the NL East. They went into that series 4 up on the Mets. Cardinals leading in the 7th at Milwaukee 3-1. Swing and a miss. Ball gets away. Contreras will throw late. So Rodriguez, after striking out, reaches.
Yeah, instead of trying to pick that one, he should have used his chest protector to try to block it and keep it in front. That's part of the process, part of the learning curve for Contreras.
So a wild pitch allowing Rodriguez to reach base. Here's Frazier.
Sometimes that's a tough transition for a guy to make. He's played the infield, used to relying on his hands. You see it with JT Realmuto in Miami, his former infielder, trying to get him to be a little more dependent on blocking with his chest protector as opposed to trying to pick the ball all the time.
Check on the runner. Awkward swing.
Swing was an afterthought.
0-2. Russell, the flip to Zobrist, and they just can't turn it. The bat broke. That slowed down that ground ball. Threw off the timing a little bit.
Now one of those tweeners for Russell where you try to determine, should I just take it to the bag or flip it? He opts for the flip, and I don't know if it would have been any quicker had he gone to the bag himself.
Mercer with one out. Frazier takes over for Rodriguez at first. Fouled off the mask. Contreras. Wood and Rondon are up. This could be more than an inning for Hector. Final game of the first half. '97 from Edwards. 0-2. Tying run is on base. Pirates have been red hot, winning 12 of their last 13. One and two. Mercer gets a long look at Rick Sofield, Pirates third base coach.
Even though he had the wild pitch on the strikeout, you can't shy away from that pitch. Contreras still has to be willing to call it, and Carl's got to be willing to bury it. He's looking for a swing and miss. The classic power pitcher with the elevated four-seam fastball, upper 90s, and the sharp curve. His fastball will have a little cut to it from time to time.
The outside, 2-2. Runner goes. Line drive to right. It's going to be a double play as Frazier's already to third. Rizzo will step on the bag, and that'll end the inning. To the ninth, Cubs lead 6-5. Maintain their lead, and time for our Cubs double play replay, brought to you by State Farm. Combine your car and home insurance with State Farm and save. Find an agent at statefarm.com.
Yeah, Frazier never did pick that ball up off the bat, and it leads to the easy 9-3 double play. Looking back in, but didn't know where it was. At that point, there's no sense turning around.
Frazier craned his neck, but he didn't look back.
Nice.
There's the closer, Mark Melancon, with his team down a run. Got to get that in before the break. The dad jokes.
Melancon, an all-star, and there's the supporting evidence. 27 saves and 28 tries, a 1.26 ERA. And one of the better ones in the league now for a few years. League hits .215 against him. He's allowed just the one long ball.
All-star Mark Melancon. Cutter strike on the outer edge. Opposite field, deep. Frazier's got it on the warning track.
He started to lose his balance out there. Ball drifting away, a little slice spin perhaps. Some adventures in the outfield for the Pirates today.
Russell. '51 saves last year for Melancon, leading the majors. That was 27th the other night. 2 gone. It is 0 for 4, but he's lined out twice. Bounced foul. So for the Pirates, in the bottom of the ninth, Fryer, a pinch hitter, and Jaso. And again, I'm curious if Gregory Polanco is available. We got Jung Ho Kang. I don't know Josh Harrison's availability. Outside. Lanson rocking back and forth as he gets the sign.
Yeah, 6-man bench for Clint Hurdle here today. He's already used Joyce and Bell.
Foul just wide of first. Oh,
nice play.
Is that Susie? That's Susie Cool. What a pick.
Yeah, great reaction. Good first step off the stool. You got to be careful because that's fair. That's very embarrassing.
She reacted like she's been there before.
She played it cool.
Lined. Rodriguez will catch it.
Oh, man, get the rover out of there.
That, for 100 and however many years the game has been played, was a hit, but in the era of shifting, fairly routine out. Our crew just wanted to get this song in there somehow.
Yeah, any chance you can get to play.
Well, let's see if Hector Rondon can hold him here. Up 6-5.
Yeah, 13 out of 17 now in the save department for Hector. He let that one get away against Atlanta the other night. Pitched an inning in the ball game last night. Struck out the side on 17 pitches.
Josh Harrison fouls away. Hit by a pitch on the foot with the bases loaded last night, and then shortly after that taken out of the game. He's hitting for Fryer.
Been a weird year for Hector. The Cubs were doing so much winning early, but a lot of it was lopsided, so there weren't that many save opportunities. And if they were, a lot of them were, 4-1, comfortable leads. A little different mindset when it's a one-run ball game. You have to pitch away from power.
Give up the Markakis homer the other night. Right center, Almora emphatically calling off Hayward. Jung Ho Kang will bat. It's a strike. 97 on the fastball.
Whoop. Go down and away. A little extra amped up, overthrew it.
Jaso on deck. Cubs lead 6-5, bottom of the ninth. Here's a pitch.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yes, he did.
He went. That's a big swing pitch. Instead of 2-1, it's 1-2. Ball made by Chris Guccione at first.
Yeah, it was a pretty good looking pitch. Maybe a little bit down or a little bit out. Guccione, the first base umpire, thought he saw enough of a commitment there from Gung.
I think he got it right. And he chases a slider for strike 3. That's the difference between 2-1 and 1-2.
Yeah, well, two things. One, the hitter gets a little jumpy and more likely to chase. And the other one, if not, then they're much more likely to take a defensive swing with just trying to put the ball in play. So it's really going to suppress power. Put a guy like Gung in a hitter's count and turn him loose. Obviously, he's much more dangerous.
So 2 outs. Jaso 2 out of 4 with an RBI. And a strike. Couldn't get him to go after it. 1-1. Chris Bryant with one of many go-ahead RBIs in this game, but the latest in the 8th. Plating Matt Caesar, who had doubled earlier off the bench. 1-2. Two and 2. Marte waiting on deck. Rondon to the plate. The pitch. It's full.
Hector learned his lesson the other day. Markakis hit that game-tying home run off of him at Wrigley. He tried to throw him a fastball inside. Markakis able to get the barrel to it. Here he's just staying away from Jaso. Jaso's not a big power guy, but make a mistake in the inner half. He's certainly capable. far less likely to do damage in that, to the off field. So if you stay down and away with a fastball or backdoor slider, highly unlikely that he's going to hit it out of the ballpark.
Ready for another 3-2, and here it is. Ground ball towards center. Backhanded by Zobrist. Cubs win. Cubs win 6-5 the final. They push the Pirates to 7.5 out, and they'll have at least a 7-game lead in the division going into the break. Kris Bryant, the All-Star, with the big hit. Cubs win 6-5, and we'll be back in a moment.